Celeste is a game about climbing a mountain. In actuality, it's a game about pushing through anxiety, depression, and the kind of self-doubt that tries to convince you you'll never make it. Celeste is just challenging because of its tight platforming. It's challenging because it reflects what it feels like to fight yourself, to keep moving when your brain is telling you to turn back. In actuality, it is in fact a game about climbing a mountain. It follows this character named John Celeste, and the goal is to climb from here to there. But what if we didn't climb? What if I completely took out the climb button? No, not like that! Like this. How far would sheer stubbornness take me? Is it even possible? Well, this is Celeste without climbing. Now, what do I mean by climbing? It's important to be specified, as things like wall jumps or sliding down a wall don't count as climbing. Climbing only refers to the very particular animation when you grab onto a wall, stick to it, and can freely move up or down. This only happens if I press the climb button while close to a wall. Now that we established what climbing is, we can finally start the game in the prologue. And we already get to see the first taste of this challenge. The prologue is basically the tutorial of this game, teaching you all the buttons and what they do. Now, I don't think I need to explain why in the case where the climb button gets taught, we're introduced with our first problem of the run. Big high walls with no opposite wall to wall jump off of. Alright, what do we have to work with here? Normally, we're expected to latch onto this wall and very simply climb upwards. But since that isn't allowed, the only thing left for us to do is wall jumps. The problem is that this isn't our typical Hollow Knight wall jump. Because even if I hold the directional input I wanted, I still get flung in the opposite direction. But what if I use no direction? As you can see, we don't really get thrown as much, and if we hold the direction to the wall after the wall jump, we can reach it while covering some vertical distance. That, my dear friend, is called a neutral jump. It unironically took about 30 minutes to get used to and get past the very first wall, but this will be good enough substitute for going up walls. And now I hear you say, oh, I know where this is going. You're just gonna use this technique to get past any wall, making this whole challenge obsolete. Children, am I right? So blissfully unaware. Before we end the prologue, we unlock the dash ability, the actual carry of this challenge run. Ending the prologue, now it's time for the first out of 7 chapters. The true climb, or should I say, not climb, now begins. At the start of chapter 1, we initially get carried by our dash ability, and no specific room causes us any resistance. Until this one. Here, we get taught the single most awful game mechanic in this challenge: interactable objects. Interactable objects are generally things that move or change if the player comes in contact with them. They are fine if they just require us to stand on them, but you can see why needing to climb them can be a problem. This is a perfect example of how neutral jumps are not going to be enough to last us for the rest of the game. If only we had some interesting trick that would get us past this segment. So, you come here often? This, dear viewer, is a wave dash. A wave dash is an intentional game mechanic that is typically used in later stages of the game. It is triggered by dashing diagonally towards the floor while airborne and jump right after you hit the floor. This causes you to get an enormous momentum boost while still maintaining your dash. There are many ways to fuck this up, but I did it on my first try, so yeah, you know. There are many different variations of this type of tech, like hyper dashes, super dashes, extended variants, reverse extended, you get what I mean. Just know that every time I say some short word and then dash, it's just some fancy wave dash. This transitions well into the literal next screen as it requires one of those fancy dashes. Normally, we're supposed to use this conveyor belt to propel us across the gap. But in this case, an extended super dash solves all of our issues. The following rooms are fairly simple with our arsenal of movement tricks up until we go against the falling wall room. Now, the falling wall room originally asks us to firmly touch this wall in order to be able to wall jump off of it and dash to safety. So how are we gonna get there without, you know, the wall? Well, dear viewer, if you pay close attention, these 4 pixels are a wall. A wall that I can wall jump off of. Now, don't get intimidated, this wall jump is buffered, so it looks swag, but it really isn't. Good news are, this is the last room of the chapter. Bad news? This took an hour. Okay, you mean to tell me that I have to go from down here all the way up there without climbing or being able to use these conveyor belts? Alright, this took a lot out of me. I even needed to change my binds a bit because I felt like that would make neutrals easier. It kinda did. But yeah, a tight neutral jump at the start and then another tight neutral jump at the end, and I finally got it. This screen transition signals the end of chapter 1, which was honestly an amazing introduction to what this challenge had to offer. Second chapter's whole shtick is these dream blocks that work by dashing into them, so skip to the third one, I guess? Third chapter was also very easy with minimal resistance, and the main game mechanic having nothing to do with the challenge, other than, you know, being annoying. There are although two interesting tricks that we had to learn. For example, at the start of the chapter, we had to get this key to open the hotel door. It normally requires some weird tight wall jumps, but since transitions reset our dashes, we can abuse it to grab the key from the other side, like this. And somewhere in the middle of the chapter, I get forced to pull another quirky game mechanic. This is the wall bounce. It's triggered by dashing upwards next to a wall and jump during or at the end of the dash to carry your momentum to the direction of the wall bounce. Lastly, this isn't any trick, but it's a tool that will come in handy later. Apparently, moving towards the front of the spikes kills you. I mean, duh, but if you approach spikes from their back, they're completely harmless. You'll see why that's important later. After giving one last goodbye kiss to Mr. Oshiro, we signal the end of chapter 3. Well, I sure hope you haven't gotten used to these quick chapters, cause our streak of amazing luck has ended. This motherfucker is chapter 4, the bane of my existence. This chapter took as many recordings as the entire rest of the game combined. Now, for the most part, the earlier mechanics that were themed with the chapters didn't directly influence our gameplay when it comes to the no climb challenge. In chapter 4, however, we not only get one, but two damn mechanics that specifically fuck us over. The first hellish mechanic gets introduced right at the start after we speak to Granny. Wind. Wind is not actually the worst thing in existence, as if it's pushing us towards where we want to go, it gives us some help to make jumps that otherwise would be impossible. But I don't think I need to explain why the opposite is gonna cause some issues. I can go up! In the beginning, wind just forces us to make some dashes and wall jumps that were satisfyingly barely possible. That established false hope that the chapter wouldn't be so bad. Boy, was I wrong. Do not threat, dear viewer, because we haven't even spoken about the worst of the two mechanics that completely screw our plans of not climbing. This is the guided block. It's an interactable object, goddammit, that only after interacting with it, it starts moving with a stable speed in a specific direction. If, for example, the block moves to the right, we can go above it and hold up or down to move up or down respectively. But if the block moves up, requiring us to attach to it and move it left or right, see how that's a problem. Hence, this room. Normally, we have to guide this block to get around this terrain in order to use it as a moving platform and get up on that wooden plank. So how are we meant to get up there without the block? Well... Okay, what the hell even happened there? This, my friend, is called a corner kick. Remember what I mentioned in chapter 3? That's essentially what's happening here. I'm moving towards the spikes from their back. And since I don't need to hold a directional input towards the wall to wall jump, that's kinda how neutral jumps work if you remember, I can essentially wall jump off of spikes. Introducing the 3 rooms of hell. These are 3 back-to-back rooms that ask for way more precision than I anticipated. So we're gonna go through all of them one by one, figure out what the problem is, and see how we can go about solving it. The first room has 2 guided blocks that we can't access and this tiny crystal. What I initially had to do was perform 2 relatively precise wall bounces to grab this crystal. My first thought was to do the speedrun tech, where you wall jump off of this floating wall and use the dash to reach the end. Oh, so you're like, trans, okay. I guess, you got it. But I figured reaching this wall and proceed to make one of the most precise neutral jumps in existence and then not fumble the rest of the neutrals would be easier. This room caused me real life issues. Every time I reached this spot, I was so tense that I completely stopped breathing. I had to take breaks to catch my breath every once in a while because I was starting to see God. God, why am I doing this? I don't know, child. Something about strongest soldier gets toughest battles type shit. I'm nonchalant like that. The third room, leaving the best for last, is... oh jeez. Fucking windy! The third room already requires us to do a wave dash to even reach this necessary platform. The problem is that I can't quite reach the top of this wall without climbing, but what if instead of trying to reach the top, I tried going from the bottom? I got the idea by seeing how speedrunners do it, but don't talk about that. I'm just extremely smart, you know, just... The final room, technically the second room of hell, had another guided block that we can't access! And we're supposed to use it to travel the entire room and reach the end. Without it though, we're left with, let me see, a whole bunch of nothing. Okay, of course I'm being dishonest. We do have this area. Getting to it is easy since we can use an extended super dash and do some fancy wall jumps, and yep, it's impossible. This wall is either too far to reach or our head is too thick to surpass it. There is really no way to reach this wall with our current loadout of mobility, at least not yet. Now it's time to bring some unorthodox mechanics to the table. Ivu the Demo Dash. Now I know I said earlier that every time I say something fancy and then dash, I'm talking about a variation of a wave dash, but here it's a bit different. A Demo Dash is a fancy way of saying crouch dash, but in the air. The way we're supposed to be able to do it is too complicated to explain, but that's okay because the creators of this game are based and designed a whole ass button just for this movement tech. The only benefit it has over the normal dash is that we get squished, making our hitbox smaller, which might increase our odds of reaching the wall. And you know what they say about odds? Eventually, it's gonna hit. Please.
Yes. Get me the fuck out of here. 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 Get me the fuck out of here.
I don't wanna do this anymore. I really hope that was the end. God fucking damn it! Don't worry, the hard part is finished. I'll mention the rooms that are memorable and skim through the rooms that took like 10 minutes or less to beat. In any case, this whole challenge seems to be going extremely well. Even though some rooms were awful and started to make me turn pale, they end up being not that bad in the grand scheme of things. Anyways, this room is impossible. I tried everything. Even speedrunners. No, even the task can't do it. Okay, what's the problem here? I need to activate this horizontal guided block, which once again, I can't access. Drag it to the end where I need to touch this blue key to move the spike block, and then use the same guided block to reach the next checkpoint. Now, say I don't use the damn block. I can easily get kissing range with the key, but after that I'm stranded on this wall without my dash or any way to get it back. But say I do get back on the ground, there's absolutely no feasible way to get up there. Even taskers use a lot of build-up momentum to get past this small gap with a climb to jump, momentum of which they get from touching the guided block at the start. This felt like a real punch to the gut. But I do have one technicality, a final trick up my sleeve. There is this setting that lets you activate interactable blocks just by sliding onto them, which technically isn't climbing. Now, I know you're probably gonna ask why didn't I use this sooner, and that's because it's way more interesting to try to solve this room without it. I promise to only use it if it's 100% necessary, because realistically, I would count this as cheating, so whoever is stinky and doesn't know what fun is, can I beat Celeste without climbing? No. You happy? I'll even keep count of every time I have to use this setting on the bottom right corner. Now that that's out of the way, few screens later, and we get the final hard room of this chapter. Fucking finally. Buckle up everybody, it's another guided block room. This one isn't so terrible. I just do a relatively easy demo dash to get through the fucker without activating it, grab the key, get back safely, activate it, and neutral stall my way to the end. Other than that, the rest of the chapter was a mixture of fighting off some intense wind, bouncing on some white balls. I also had to do some demo dashes, max height wall bounces, and reverse hyper dashes. Lastly, I have generally no fucking idea how I beat this room. And with that, the chapter is done. Easy as that, am I right, fellas? Chapter 5. Woo! Finally something different. Don't get me wrong, Chapter 4 is gorgeous, but fuck my life was it rough. I was so ecstatic getting out of that torture of a chapter. And frankly, for the most of the two following chapters, we didn't really face any Chapter 4 level of hell rooms. I mean, sure, it had some that took a few tries, and we are gonna go through those, but I really just felt like I was enjoying my time playing one of my favorite games, chilling all by myself, solving simple puzzles. Chapter 5 has a few new cool mechanics we can play with, main one being these funky platforms. The way they work is that they have a preset path that they zoom towards every time we dash. So since they need our dash to work, they shouldn't be that bad, right? Wrong. Because the way these platforms are geographically structured act more like the wind from Chapter 4. Since I can't latch onto them, I need to figure out some unintentional way to get past them, because if I'm on the opposite side from where they are returning, there is no way to neutral stall them. Though most of the chapter consisted of me getting lost and entering secret rooms on accident that contained collectibles I didn't care about, and honestly, every time I catch myself playing this chapter, something like this happens. Wait, what? Where's we going? Dude, that's not even... That's the cassette tape room. What am I watching? Why am I trying to get the B-side? Dude, you have the key! Go back and unlock the door! Zeka, lock in! A bit after that incident, I'm usually supposed to go through a sequence where I have to find my way to collecting these keys to open up the way to this red bubble to reach the next checkpoint. Or alternatively, I could just... One of my favorite rooms of this chapter is the one you're looking at right now. See this dash I'm doing at the start? That's not just for style points. I actually need this platform to be sent preemptively at its endpoint so that when I try to dash under it, it has more of a chance to pass me. Initially, I thought I needed to demo dash just like in that one chapter 4 room. But here, my friends, I learned that sometimes the correct answer is usually the simplest, and I don't have to overcomplicate everything. A demo dash made my head too small to the point where I would barely miss the platform on the return, but simply a default dash made it easier for me to catch my ride. At least in theory. And you know what's the funniest thing about this room? Here's what's gonna happen, and 6 out of 25 times I get to this point. Darn you fluid momentum! I will make you suffer! With a bit of patience, this room ended up being all bark no bite. For any of you that have played this game, I'm sure you all know what time it is. It's time to carry Theo's ass to the end of the... Well shit, I never expected to have this problem. By removing the climb button, I removed the button I need to press in order to pick up Theo. Man, fuck my life, I've already made the rules of this challenge complicated enough. Aha! I got it! I know what cop-out I'm gonna use. This is the no climb challenge, not the no climb button challenge. I only turned off the climb button just to not accidentally press it or something. So this is completely fair within my rules. Any questions? No? Good. Now, as for the monsters that were chasing me while I was hard carrying Theo's ass, they were kinda mean. Though it didn't take much until I adapted entirely to their puny tactics, and finally threw Shio's fat ass to that giant eyeball to end the chapter. No offense, Theo. I love you, bro. Now, on to chapter 6. Holy epitome of inconsequential chapter. This chapter is normally a pretty heavy one. If you haven't played the game, I advise you to try it out. It is truly peak. No pun intended. But for the stakes of the challenge, nothing really stood in our way. I mean, there was this caving block room that was kinda hard, but I ended up doing it in very few tries. And whatever the fuck happened here. What the fuck just happened? But yeah, easy chapter, I guess. This is going great. I mean, I'm on the very last chapter of the entire game. I honestly didn't know I would get this far. To catch you up on what happened in the story of the game so far, our other self caused us to fall all the way to the bottom of the mountain and got our second dash upgrade. Now, our job is to go back through snippets of all the previous chapters we've done so far and get back to the top. With our current upgrade and being filled with determination, nothing is gonna stand in our way. Fuck! So, this is the beginning of the chapter, and we are already forced to use the grab mode. Damn it. Well, good news that this is the last time we're ever gonna use it, so, yay! From now on, note that when I'm referring to the earlier chapters, I'm talking about the segment of chapter 7 that's dedicated to them. Other than that one bump, chapter 1 was a cakewalk, and chapter 2 was somehow easier than the actual chapter. Chapter 3 had annoying garbage as usual, and only one interesting room in total. And now, at 2,000 meters, it's time for...
No. Wait.
The second dash was an absolute godsend here, as most of the supposedly challenging rooms were solved with a bit of precise movement. The only rooms that caused issues were these two that required a pretty tight demo dash, and this room that asked us to do a way more precise version of a wall jump we did back in the falling wall room. I can't lie, getting out of chapter 4 and therefore halfway through chapter 7 made me feel like I was getting so close I could taste the finishing flag. With that being said, chapter 5 seemed like it was gonna be as free as everything else so far. Hey, this room doesn't seem so bad. Can I please have a moment of joy? What the fuck is this? Where do I even start with this room? This is what I'm supposed to do in a normal playthrough. Simple, right? Yeah, well now I'm gonna try to explain what I had to do. Up until here, it's casual gameplay. And on the return of this platform, I had to do a momentum jump towards the wall, perform 2 back-to-back frame-perfect neutral jumps, then dash above this platform and die. Okay, wait, let's do this again. 2 back-to-back frame-perfect neutrals, we then demo dash above the platform, get past it, stand up because our demo dash ended, and die. Okay, let's try again. Frame-perfect neutrals, demo dash above platform, carefully sliding onto the platform to remain crouch position, fall towards the correct side of the platform, and die because you didn't expect it. 3 hours later, get everything just right and beat it. Great job! We are now halfway through this room. Thank fuck fucking god I did the rest first try, because I swear to you this video would have never happened. For anyone that has played this game, you'd know that we're entering one of the most hype moments, 3,000 meters. Now, 3,000 meters is the final stretch, with each flag counting down from 30 until we reach the final checkpoint before we beat the game. This sequence proved how far we have come with this entire challenge, combining everything we learned to breeze through everything. It was a reflection of how well we have mastered every tech and trick that got us this far. Celeste is a game where I am allowed to be a little emotional and tell you the real reason why I started this challenge. Celeste is a game with very fun, fluid movement, a puzzle-like level design, and a charming story. That's what I love about it. This challenge forced me to explore more movement techs, figure out phenomenal puzzles, and hopefully manage to tell an interesting story in the process for you. A few months ago, I was in a bus stop with a friend group of mine. I don't exactly remember what we were conversating, but I do remember a quote from a friend that has stuck to me since then. He said, "If you end up succeeding, life is not gonna remember your failures."
Oh my god, man. Oh my god, man. I fucking did it. I'm here. Yeah, no shit. Oh, man. Yeah. I've seen this. Just... I deserve this, man. I deserve this. GG's. If you'd like to help a brother out, please make sure to subscribe. It's free, and you can always unsubscribe later if you want to. And for anyone that has reached this far, here's whatever the fuck this was.